Hi, I'm Phylum, and I'm back with another Diabotical community cast, this time watching a game from Blindlight, someone I don't really know outside of them being a mod of Diabotical District, which I will give a quick shout out to if you want to improve a Diabotical District, or organising, I think, some beginner tournaments and some beginner resources. I will link to them in the description. But Blindlight themselves sent me this game to review on Bioplant, and they said they lost it and they're looking for tips to really improve. So I'm going to watch through, I'm going to talk about it. The last video I did of this didn't get as many views as I'd hoped, but I'm going to keep making these because I had a lot of fun doing it and I got some really good feedback. So let's get going. So Bioplant, there's the bind from Blindlight about Diabotical District. Monthly duel leagues, apparently, nice to see. So what we want to see here, red armor spawn, LG, you can actually go back around through the door, like past the smoke weeble, through the door into Mega and look for an LG pin. I've seen some players do that to great effect, but if you're not confident in your LG, maybe not. This is a good angle to get it as well, but I think you're a bit less likely to get there in time. So he's come back around to this position and thinking about getting a rocket launcher. Also, just quickly, what is this crosser? Okay, what I'm very disappointed. I understand why. If anyone is looking for tips on how to hit shotgun shots, my advice is aim for the knees. So where's your opponent going to be coming from? They don't have an LG, so it's good to be looking for them over here. The most likely position is going to be probably around from rockets. It looks like he's heard him from down at LG again. I don't have sound in this video for various technical reasons. Hoping for demos anytime soon. So your opponent has stolen away red armor and have slipped away, and you haven't hit any damage. So across the board, right, the important thing is that you get into this mega position, but across the board you have to be thinking they're going to be fairly confident right now because they'll still have health from this mega. Like, you've done no damage to them, and now they've got 200 armor as well. You have to assume they've got about 200 armor because I don't think you saw either of the blues. So they are going to be able to rush maybe from down here, maybe from this door, maybe through telly, and probably the worst position to be in here is sitting on this mega because you're going to be a sitting duck. Good opening damage and really good anticipation of where he would be coming from. Now dropping down low here is really bad because you've just given him free reign to get up to that mega, and now if you try and push in, you're just taking damage for no gain. Like, you're asking for a tool order to make enough to make any significant difference. And so off the back of that, like what I would have liked to see is you hold a top position near the mega. The first rocket you hit was beautiful. Mwah. I would have liked to see you hold a top position where you could, spam some rockets or maybe get some LG as he jumped up and then back away and take red. And in doing that, you would have delayed him at that mega. Red would have had more time to come up. He wouldn't have been as confident charging into red. So I don't think you needed to give up the entire map quite like this, quite so early. And now the danger is that your opponent's going to be so confident and so comfortable that they can do this. So you've rushed over to red because you know it's up because of where he was positioned. But the problem is, Jargriff, I should say, Girls Play Quake 2, oh, that is such a crosshair. So they knew that they could still get to that red, and in that fight, they definitely have an advantage. So, again, you're really feeling the consequences of being so passive on that second rotation of the red mega, because they have the ability to get in and pressure you, even taking blue armors. Trying to play red here is wise. Again, this is an awkward situation to have Pincer out in, because I think it's very easy for them to jump across and ruin your day. Beautiful rocket, okay? I would say don't commit to this red because you're going to take a lot of damage getting in. And again, now you're in this position where do you back away to from this room, right? Your only option to get out now is here, or if you frag him out this way, right? But if he's still alive, you can't push through here. And now you've just positioned yourself on the side of the room where you've got nothing. You're low on HP, that red's been taken. And now if you try and leave, they've got really easy shots onto you. So overall, you've kind of backed yourself against a wall here. And I'm not surprised to see this first frag go down, okay? And I feel like I've been very negative off the start of this game. And part of the reason is because these starts are so punishing. And it's really a start that I have seen myself do many times before, right? Being that bit too passive, and then you feel the consequences of it so heavily, right? If I sound negative, it's because I'm not talking to you, I am talking to myself. And I have no harsher critic of myself than myself. So this red, I like the patience, and I like the consideration that actually you're probably not going to have a good time if you go for it. If I was Jargriff here, I would be jamming it right now. Good to get into this position here. Again, you're kind of having the same problem where it's like, where do you go? And you just get bled away. You're kind of stuck on that ledge, and as you try and go, you know, like, it's going to be easy to take damage. Awkward position to be in with just the pincer. Like, you don't have a lot of options. It's good. Again, it's a good shot to hit, but you don't really get anything out of it. They're still going to get the mega. They're still in a position where they're, you know, driving this damage and whatnot. They're pressuring you, and again, they're going to back away onto this red and be very, very comfortable with it. So at this point, I'm not totally sure when that mega is. I'm going to guess that red's like 10 seconds. We can probably say that mega, you know, we could say it's like roughly the same time. You've got to be careful rushing over for that LG. Like, you don't have vision up there, and Jargriff's going to know that's the gun that you don't have. So you have to be really considerate of taking the guns you don't have, because a good opponent is going to look for you to take them and get massive damage. So you've slipped past here, and you probably just have to keep running. Yeah, so stop, listen, the smoke's okay. You're fairly vulnerable around the map here, but you're going to be wherever you go. See, that's a good shot to hit, and if you had the LG, you maybe could have thought about pushing up and you know, shafting him through the slow field, but unfortunately you don't have that. So right now, what you... Oh, and this is actually beautiful. I don't know if that was like a realization or just a coincidence, but you're able to get onto that red armor. And, you know, you have to know when you can take these things for free. And this is a huge foot in the door and a huge opportunity. So there's nothing on the map right now, right? The next thing that's going to be up is red, shortly followed by mega. So what I want to see is you ask yourself where Jargriff is going to try and position themselves, especially because they're in such a strong position already. Like, are they going to sit there until the next red? If that's the case, are you going to try and push them? Or are you going to just say, okay, that's your red, and try and, you know, maybe damage them as they take it and then fall back to mega? But the important thing, I think, is that you don't take too much damage. This is a good catch. Catching your opponent dropping down for that blue, always excellent. And I would like to see you play a position, and this is exactly what you're doing, rather than just dropping down to that red. I like this a lot. I like this a lot. Now, the danger here is that Jargriff can delay you long enough that they can get mega, and I think at this point, just give up mega and get red safely. And just go to red, just go to red. Oh, see, that little bit of hesitation, sticking around that little bit longer to spam that extra shot, that gives Jargriff so much extra time to get here. And that one pincer, suddenly, even though you've split off the items, you're coming out a long way behind this. So Jargriff's done really well. Again, just knowing how to capitalize on the positions you're in. And you know, to take either items or damage based on that, you know, without needing to do anything too crazy, without needing to make any crazy reads or whatever. You made a great read onto that blue armor, but you weren't able to swing that into enough. This is an awkward rocket fight. Again, you would probably only ever hope to just like get some decent damage and die there, really. Important to take a blue. I like using that slow field to block your opponent off from coming in and spamming you out. And overall, I feel like you could probably just afford to slow down a little bit. Like, you're moving a lot, making a bit of noise in some cases, or, you know, just in some cases, opening yourself up a little bit more than you need to. This is good pressure. Got to be a bit tricky. Overall, I think you can stay a little bit more hidden around those pillars while you're pressuring that mega, and you actually get some good damage. I think there's a blue armor up for you. You don't need to get too greedy here. It's nice that you trade that shot, but you've got to think, if you took that shot rather than hitting it, you would have been on like 1 HP and you would just die. Your opponent would just be able to rush you down. So even with a trade like that, maybe making sure that you're a little bit more in cover. Like, you were quite out in the open with that trade. And again, you're hitting shots here, but it's leaving you so weak. Like, a pincer will finish you. The trades are really scary. Beautiful read of exactly where your opponent would be, and that was a solid frag. I love to see that. Okay, so you're really playing for this next mega. Like, they've respawned onto red, there's nothing you can do about that. If they're coming through telly, you should be able to punish here. It's a bit disappointing to not get more damage. You actually, you know, maybe could have thought about pushing through with LG a little bit harder, but holding onto your stack is really nice here as well. This red's going to come up for you. You've got to make sure you don't sit on it like too early, and yeah, I think this is good, looking for some damage, like, rather than just playing on the item, playing where your opponent could be. But you really have to go and take this now. Unless maybe, did they steal away the red? Did I miss time, or is that red still up behind you? Because what's going to get scary now is that mega's going to come up as well. You've taken this pincer, so pushing into this room is going to be hard. You're actually going to be at a disadvantage because they have the blue. Great rockets. Little bit ambitious in the movement there from Jagrif. They probably could have just played to hit some damage and back away to red instead. So that red's going to be there for them off the spawn, and you've got to think, if you'd have gone for that red and then come into Mega, even if you lost Mega, if you got that frag still, they actually wouldn't have had red to respawn onto. So it's like little things like that can suddenly have a huge impact when they play out over, frags and over the course of a game. Red's going to be next. Good to anticipate where they're coming from. Like, if you let them get to this position here, it's a bad time when you're only on 100 health. But actually getting to that tele exit and pushing them back, that makes this red pickup really, really safe. Okay, so red's going to be O. Mega's going to be next. Again, expecting to, potentially take this pincer shot. It's good, but now you're going to be in a pretty weak position for this Mega. Rushing down low here is a recipe for disaster, potentially. I can tell you're so hungry to get this pincer. You can just feel like the hunger. So I'm guessing that Jagrif has just picked up... They've just picked up the red, right? From where they're coming from. They got red, and they've got the Mega as well. So right now, you don't want to actually commit to fighting like you're going to win the fight, right? Like, you just have to assume you're getting some damage and you're moving on your way to your next item. That red's going to be up in like 5-10 seconds. The trader damage there probably comes out worse for you, again, because Jagrif's just in such a strong position. Now, if you were using your timing there, you would probably be able to say with a bit more confidence that they were actually picking up the red, and that because you can guess red and Mega are kind of close together, like if you go up this bounce pad now, I'm guessing Mega's going to be there. So you could have guessed that Jagrif was going to be going quite quickly, right? He was never going to be above that blue, unless you're getting like super deep, like playing the player's decision or whatever, right? Like layers deep. So that probably wasn't a necessary time to use the slow field, and you probably actually could have gotten Mega there as well, I think. If I'm timing correctly here. It's a little bit hard to time and talk. I say this in every video, but that's because it is. Right? One day we're going to have demos, and I'm not going to have this issue. So maybe actually my timing on Mega was completely wrong there, and it wasn't up. So I redact the previous statement. However, this is still an awkward place to be. You really just can't get damage on this red, right? You're railable. The shaft fight especially would be a disaster, because trading damage, like in shaft fights you trade damage, right? And when you're on 55 HP, it's not where you want to be. Staying alive for a while here would be good, unfortunately. You don't, but you were, even on 1 HP, you were like being a little bit conservative, because if you keep your opponent on this side of the map for long enough, when you respawn there is a red armor there for you, so you can potentially respawn with more than your opponent. Small detail, again though, like makes a really big difference over the course of a game. Good, make sure you pick up the shaft. I thought for a minute you were going to dive on that red before the shaft, and I was ready to like lose my mind. But for anyone who doesn't understand why that would be such a huge deal, you can usually expect when you're a fresh spawn, your opponent's going to try and punish you for the guns you don't have. If you don't have any guns to defend yourself, it is absolutely miserable. Okay, so moving into position on that red, a little bit iffy. I see why you did it around the rocket fight. This is nice. I like that Jagrif has decided to not push you too much there, but I think they really need to look for a pincer shot right now, and I like that you're cautious coming around that corner. You probably could have even been a little bit more cautious, but you were aware that they might have been looking for that shot. Again, like you want to come out and make this damage, but Jagrif knows that you want to peek back around that corner and just has the perfect rocket there to punish it. It's almost a little bit too predictable, And where Jagrif is cleaning up with this stuff, like just getting these direct rockets or, reading out when you want to peek into a room, it adds up a lot. Okay. See, again, this is one of those situations. I think, did you just give up a red armor? I'm not totally sure, but you should definitely. Yeah, this is really bad right now. So you gave up the red armor, and then you went and looked for the red armor too late, and then you gave up Mega as well. So sometimes you will just forget the time of items, much like I just did then. Okay, sometimes you're just going to mistime an item, and you have to be able to say, I have mistimed this item. I have messed up. I've made a mistake. And right now, I just have to guess that he's got this red, and that I'm going to play for Mega, or I'm going to play for exit damage on the red, and just make sure I stay alive. Generally, just stay alive. Like, realizing that about my game sense there, and I've been dueling for a long time, but my game sense there told me that going to that red would be a very bad idea, because I could see you'd lost time on it, I'd lost time on it, and by the time you got there, they were almost certainly already going to have it, and then not only have it, but be in position on Mega. And so basically the worst possible thing that could have happened played out there, and it was completely avoidable. If you watch DDK play, actually, I think DDK is really good at, it's like sometimes it's just like, okay, I messed up, I lost the timing, I took a bad shot, now I just have to be calm and stay alive. It's good to get some defensive damage here. Like, they're just pushing you well. They made a good read. Like, they knew they could just push in and frag you, basically. And that's one of the dangers of trading when you're low on stack. Like, you have to know where you can get damage, where your opponent isn't so prepared for it as Jagriff was just then. So that was a rough duel, right? Like, right from the beginning, there were a few things that went quite badly for you, and there were things that went badly that you fairly easily could have avoided. So I think the biggest thing you need to think about, or the biggest two things, I guess, make sure that you're not giving everything up on that second rotation, and it can be hard to do, but make sure that if your opponent, especially on this map, if they're getting that red for free, you can still have a presence of that Mega. You just need to be really smart about it and make sure that you're not, in a weak position where they're just going to roll over the map. So don't be afraid to take strong positions. And, there are lots of strong positions, especially on this map, actually, where you can get damage and then back away. We didn't see a lot of that from you here, and it's hard once you get into this like negative cycle in a duel. Like, you give up everything early on, and then you're a little bit uncertain, and then that makes you a little bit more uncertain. And I know this because, again, it's like I'm talking to myself. But you have to find the places where you know how your opponent is going to enter the Mega room, or like I was saying, that red and Mega are close together, so he's probably going to be rushing, maybe through that low corridor, or maybe coming around via tele exit, or maybe coming through the LG door. But you have to like make a commitment that if he comes from one of those ways, actually, I'm going to hit 2 really good rockets on him or something, and then maybe I've knocked him out of position, or knocked his confidence, and I've delayed him long enough that Mega's come up and I can back onto it and fight and win. Or you can just say, okay, well, I now also have an exit plan. If something goes badly, I can just zip away. Basically, I'm just saying you have to play duel better, which isn't that helpful. And it's one of those things that I've struggled a lot with, and there's no perfect formula for doing it. But yeah, just try some stuff out, especially against an opponent like this who is very good at cleaning things up when you take a weak position. Just try some strong positions. Like, you're going to learn more from trying to assert yourself on the map and failing than just being passive for a whole game. And again, that is very much something that I've had to tell myself a lot over the years. But yeah, other than that, there were a few times when your uncertainty around item times did hurt you there. There were a few times when my uncertainty around item times hurt my analysis of the game, so that pendulum swings both ways. But no, it was a good game to watch. Thank you so much for sending it in. I would love to see another game in like a month or two if you think you can apply some of those things. Maybe we'll have like a Blindlight series, right? The rise and fall of Blindlight and Diabotical. So if you have a game you want me to look at, and maybe people want me to be a bit nicer, maybe people want me to be a bit meaner, I don't know, send it to me. You can find me on Discord. I have a shiny new email address in the description of this video, so you can send things that way. And that goes for games that you've played, top level games you think are interesting, anything you want to see me talk about in Diabotical, please let me know, because that really helps me shape my content for the coming weeks. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've been Phylum, and I'll see you next time.